full of stories. Why all these stories are there? Why we're having all these stories? The reason or the answer for this question or this particular maybe thinking and maybe concern, it is mentioned in the Quran. The answer of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Yusuf, after Surah Yusuf, the full of the surah is a story. It's about Yusuf and his brothers. And at the end of the whole story, at the end of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لقد لقد كان في قصصهم عبرة لأولي الألباب. So there was certainly in their stories, the story of Yusuf and his brothers, the whole family, a lesson for those of understanding. So this is the reason why we are, or the main reason of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions to us stories in the Quran. There will be lessons in there. There must be lessons all the time. Not one lesson, not two, not three. All the time there are lessons. The first lesson is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to see how the people are going back and returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is one of the main reasons. There are lessons in there, and these lessons, and on top of these lessons, showing the need to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from all those people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned their stories. Also another ayah in the Quran, we have Surah Al-A'raf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after mentioning the stories of some Bani Israel and Musa and a number of prophets, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَقْصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, which means here, as you can see, so relate to them the stories that perhaps they will give thought. So perhaps they might get that thinking and they start having pondering about themselves, or pondering about the creator of this world, the pondering about their sins, the ponder about things around them, and that means that bringing them back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so my topic, that as you received it, I'm going to talk about rising through calamities. And the title, as you can see, is quite big, quite huge, and it's not easy to cover it in 1 hour or less than an hour. It's quite big, and it is very interesting topic to talk about it, and consists a lot of areas. However, the way I'm going to cover it, I'm going to go through a story, and I selected a story, of course not a story from the Anbiya and a story from the Hadith, because I know some of you knows these stories and you studied them, you watch videos about them, and maybe you memorize them as well. So my idea today, I decided to select a completely different story. Maybe possibly some of you knows about it, but from this story, I'm not also going to go in details about the birth, about here and there. My main way in here in the story, I'm going to get the calamities or the tests, I call them tests, in the life of this person, and also how this person rises up, and he will be hit and then he rises up again, he will be hit and he will rise up again, and that is how's life, and that's what we need to learn today. So the start of my story is today, which is Sunday, today, our day today, and it's Sunday. In the Islamic calendar, today is the 12th of Shaban. So the same day today, the similar day today, but that goes back in the year 773, so about 707 centuries ago, and 7 centuries ago, and that's close to the end of the 8th Islamic century. On the 12th of Shaban, the story started, and it was about the baby boy, and I call baby boy, his name is Ahmad ibn Ali. I'm not going to say the famous name of this person. At the end, inshallah, after going through the story and learning the lessons from there, so possibly at the end you will find, or through the story, you're going to know who's this person. So while you're listening, please do not search. While you're sitting in front of your computer, your phone, do not search, don't go to Google and search about this person. Just listen to the story and enjoy it. And inshallah, at the end, you're going to find out who's this person. His name Ahmad is like my name, but he is Ibn Ali. I am Ibn Yusuf. Ahmad ibn Ali. He was born for a family, a father with the name Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Mahmud ibn Ali. and it goes until the end. So the father's name is, the father's name or the husband is Ali ibn Muhammad, and the wife or the mother of this boy, her name is Tijar bint, you can say Abu Bakr here in English, Tijar bint Abu Bakr ibn Shams Muhammad. This is the family. So these two couple, this is the couple, this is the family. They got married and they had a baby named Ahmad ibn Ali. Ali, the father, Ali ibn Muhammad, he was already married before, and he had a child, and his child, the first child that he had before, died, and that was a test for him. So started the family already before having even their baby that we're going to talk about him. The test is the calamities, their calamity starts from before, and that is what I mean with the background in here. So the going back to this, Ali ibn Muhammad, he lived in a century, that's the 8th century. In there was a very difficult century, full of a lot of calamities, personal calamity, and also in terms of the community calamities and overall calamities as well. Um, he lost his son, he divorced from his wife, he lost the son, as well as Tijar, she got married to somebody else before this person Ali, and she found herself not with the right person, she had to divorce from him. Both of them, they were lucky. Ali ibn Muhammad, he was a businessman, he was well off. Tijar, she came out from, she is from a rich and well-known family in Egypt, and their family, I'm going to give you now the clues, a bit going closer into this person. They lived in Egypt, so they are Egyptian, and they are from the 7th century. The baby starts from the end of the 8th century and going to the 9th century. Um, the first test, for this baby, Ahmad Ali, our person that we're going to talking about him, started with the death of his mother. He was he was born in 773. That's the year when he was born. And then after that, Tijar, the mother, passed away. Soon as Ahmed was born, it was said maybe a year, it was said some months, it was said at the time of the birth. However, is very quick. The baby did not even remember the face of the mother. This is the first test. So imagine a person comes out in this life and he will see that there is no mother for him. And similar, this is reminds us of the Prophet ﷺ, although the Prophet ﷺ, his mother passed away later on, but his father passed away before even he was born. And it is a very difficult test. So the life started with this straight away. Or we could say before that, his difficult life started from the mother and father themselves. They had a very difficult life, although they were all well off in terms of the money, but they had so many difficulties in their life. So that's the first test. The second test, so the second hit, I call it, although he was a baby, is the death of the father. The father is Ali ibn Muhammad, as we said, Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Mahmud. He died in Rajab 773. So less than 4 years before his baby, before the baby became, went into the age of 4 years, the father already died. Um, and as I said earlier, he's already lost a son from the previous wife, so he had no son after that, and then he was giving this baby, and then he died. So he didn't see what he wants to see from his baby. And this baby, imagine just your baby, and you're going away, and you're leaving a baby alone there. You have no family. They said the Ali ibn Muhammad was within the 3 years, he was very, very attached to his son. Although it was a very short time, but he was very, very attached to his son Ahmad. And even Ahmad, he himself, he remembered, because he wrote in his book, he said, I remember one day my dad said, and although he was less than 4 years, he said that my dad, he said to me, or he said in front of the people, that your kunya, which is a nickname, is Abul Fadl. So he remembered what his father said about him. He was very attached to him. Okay, He died before Ahmad reached the age of 4, as we said earlier. Now that's second test, and start the family with test, with hits, with the calamities. Um, then after that, this third test, being raised by others. I'm saying others here. Whoever was the person who's going to raise the baby after that is not going to be a father or mother. There is nothing better than to be raised by your mother and your father. Both of them are alive. Both of them look after you, and it is really difficult to have one of them, a single family. Father is looking after the baby, especially when it's a baby very young, or a mother alone looking after her baby, and that is will be an orphan. Now our child here, or the baby Ahmed ibn Ali, is an orphan because both parents, father, mother, both of them died, and he had no family members to look after him. No family members there. There might be family members, but maybe possibly the relation is not good. But the books and the history did not mention that there were some family members, meaning here uncle, cousins, someone from here and there to look after them. However, Ahmad, he had a sister who's older than him, 3 years older than him. So this family, they had a girl, and they had also a son. But now our main story is about the son. We'll mention his sister later on, inshallah. Um, Lucky, the father already had a will. So for Ahmad, his father already had a will, and in his will, he mentioned that I want a person with the name of Zakiyuddin al-Kharrubi, one of his own friends, and one because he was a trader, businessman, and this person was a businessman as well. He was well off, as well as some other lucky things. He looked after Ahmad ibn Ali. However, as I said earlier, the hit here, you don't know where the baby goes to somewhere. You don't know, even your friend, the friends. We've seen how many friends they change. We've seen how people they change. And this is not really something that you get to be sure about it. And even if a family members, you don't know. The best is to be raised by your mother, your own mother, and your own father. So that's the third test that Ahmad received in his life. Um, then uh, instead of going to a lot of tests, sometimes I try to make them in order based on his life. I tried my best. So the first rise for this baby or this child, good, I said here, good, but difficult start. So let's see now the good and difficult start. Upon completion, the 5 years, now the baby, about 4 years or less than 4 years, he went to this Al-Kharrubi person. And when Ahmad reached the age of 5 years old, I'm saying 5 years old. In some other, when you study some other people's history, 5 years old, a little bit older. So sometimes they go less than that of what I'm going to say, mention now. But remember, this child is not the child of Al Kharrubi, but upon completion, the 5 years, the young boy Ahmed started the Quranic school. So lucky, this person, he cared about Ahmed, and he sent him to the Quranic school. And however, in general, maybe possibly it will be embarrassing also for the other person, even if he wasn't a good friend. The government system was at the time, the Mamluki system was at the time, they were opening schools everywhere. So everyone is learning, everyone going for free, everyone will have the opportunity to learn, and that is was provided by the government at the time. So he started Quranic school. So that's the one of talking about his rise after going down the 3 hits that he received at the beginning of his life. Now he started the boy rising up, and he memorized Surah. He started reading the Quran, and they said they memorized the Quran. But one day, or one of the rising, or one of the very good things that you can see at the beginning of his life, he memorized Surah Maryam in one day. It was mentioned by all the historian. Please keep your for those who are writing. Just sorry to say this. Um, Please keep your mic mute and your camera off, and do not try to write. Just listen and move away from the computer and enjoy the information, inshallah. I hope that you learned something. So back to Ahmad ibn Ali, he memorized Surah Maryam in one day, and that is a great thing. Father not there, mother is not there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gifted him with the good aql, with good memory. He completed memorizing the whole Quran, all the Quran, A to Z, from Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Nas, when he got to the age of 9 years old. I'm saying 9 here. In some other people's history, it may be less than that. But remember, there's no mother, there's no father. Lucky this person, he stood up and he continued and he enjoyed the life with this adopted or the foster father and the one who's looked after him, Zakiyuddin al-Kharrubi. Uh, Also is not that al-Kharrubi came out as a very good person. He looked after Ahmed very well. He even took him to Hajj. He even managed to accompany him with. We took him to the Hajj when he got to the age of 12, and possibly here there are something that we need to raise it, and here I would mention possibly the Ali ibn Muhammad, the father, he left some wealth and some money because he was a trader and he was quite well off. Maybe possibly he left some money and some businesses, some renting, some properties, and that's what they used to do at the time for his son Ahmed and his daughter. And this is what comes from what is left from his father, used by the person who looked after him. It's not easy to find a person to look after the child and do everything with the child, even taking him to Hajj. Okay. While the person we're talking about his story, Ahmad, he was in Hajj. He had most of Sahih al-Bukhari in Mecca. While he was about 12 years old, he had most of Sahih al-Bukhari from the shuyukh in there. Because he already memorized the Quran, some history book mentioned that he led the Taraweeh prayer in Mecca. You know, in Mecca at the time there are 4 maqams: the Shafi'i maqam, the Hanafi maqam, the Hanbali maqam, and Maliki maqam. It was said in some history book that he led the Salah of the Shafi'i people in their maqam. He led Salat al-Taraweeh at the time. Although he was so young, but he memorized the Quran. Um, when he returned back, he memorized. Maybe some of these books are not known to you, brothers and sisters, but he memorized Umdat al-Ahkam. There are more than 500 hadith in this book, and the books are collected from Bukhari and Muslim. He memorized Alfiyat al-Iraqi, a book of poems of 1,000 verses related to the science of hadith. He also memorized, or he all of these are memorized books. So it's not studying, is memorize them. Al-Hawi, one of the fiqh book, or Mukhtasar ibn al-Hajib, also a fiqh book. And they mention a list of books in the language and fiqh. He memorized them when he was just past the age of 12 years. All of this is showing how he was hit earlier, but he's rising, he's going up. Yeah. Now, the fourth test or the fourth hit that Ahmed had, the death of his guardian. After he enjoyed the life with this person, Zakiyuddin al-Kharrubi, and after he became used to it, and after he settled down, he memorized, and he's into the system as well. Possibly at the time by the force of this Zakiyuddin al-Kharrubi, possibly is the tradition at the time, because the children at that age, maybe they're not themselves are interested in that, but this is a guidance from the guardian. He guided him, and he made with him the best that he could have done with his own children. So now the Zakiyuddin al-Kharrubi died in year 787. So at the time, Ahmad, the boy Ahmad ibn Ali, he was about less than 14 years old. Um, so he's still a young boy at the time. He lost the support. again. So before there was support, having the love of the mother and father, and now he lost the support of the person he's looked after him, and he became used to his life as well. He lost the support, and that's not an easy. It's not easy thing during that time, with the poverty, with the situation, the life, the scenario, the community, or the states of the world or the people at the time. It's not easy to lose the support. Um, so it became unclear future, and that is what we think when someone, father died, mother died, no one in there. Okay, he had a sister who looked after him time to time. We're going to talk about her later. But a sister, a lady, is not like a mother, although he considered her as a mother. The future became unclear. A boy, teenager, imagine in this country, a boy 14 years old or less than that, everyone is not there. No mother, no father. The person who's looked after him also died. Who's going to look after him? Um, the fifth test here, being looked after by a second guardian in the system, as you know, Islamic way. The person will not be left like that. If there is a good parents and good people around him, there will be a goodwill written in there, and they will mention who will look after this person. Then this, it can be another rise for Imam Ahmad, or it can be considered as the fifth hit for Ahmad, because he will be taken by a second guardian, another person that he is not aware of him, he doesn't know him, and it's not an easy for him to adopt a new life in a new house and a new maybe routine, and you everything is in you. The father, and referring to the real father of Ahmad, and that is Ali ibn Muhammad, he's already stated a second name in his will. So he's a good father, and that shows Ali, he was a good father, and that is a message for all of us. It is very important to write a will, and he wrote in his will that son and son, he will be the first guardian for my son if I die. Keep your camera off, please, everyone. If that person was not there, then there will be a second person who will look after my son. So here we have a second person mentioned already from the father. The young Ahmad was taken by a person with the name uh, Shamsuddin ibn al-Qattan. Shamsuddin ibn al-Qattan was the second guardian for Imam Ahmad ibn Ali. A new family now, and that's why I'm saying I'm considering that as a test. You might consider it as good things, lucky things for Ahmad, but can be. So there are possibility in here, because we don't know who's going to go there, the family he's going to go to, and also, as we said, mentioned earlier, the father, he made his best to mention names, and these people, they change, and you know, people, they change, they don't stay same all the time. And especially when you leave money, and especially when life changes as well, and maybe loses business, people, they change. However, now we know, hey, so a new family, possibly a different way of bringing up, and that will not be suitable for Ahmad ibn Ali. Will they look after him or not? We don't know. This person, will he be taken care of Ahmad or not? That is not known at the time. However, the second rise for Ahmad, situation starts getting brighter, and that is because of the second guardian. So situation getting better now. Ahmad was very lucky. The guardian, and we mentioned him earlier, Shamsuddin ibn al-Qattan, his name is Muhammad ibn al-Qattan, was a scholar, himself was a scholar, and he was known in Egypt, a scholar of fiqh, Qur'an, and language. In fact, Ahmad started learning from his new foster father, and he's a sheikh, and he's a father, he's a family, he's everything now for him. It was for him one of the main way, although we said earlier there are some shuyukh for him, but this one, he became the main first sheikh for Ahmad ibn Ali. At the same time, he's a new foster father, second one, and he's a father, really. He's his own family now. He's living with them. Ahmad, when he was 17 years old, he completed the Quran with tajweed. This, when I read that, when I saw that in the history books, they, as if at the beginning, they memorized the Quran on their style, at least in the Egypt, they memorized it without concentrating more in tajweed. That is one possibility. Or maybe possibly they memorized the Quran after the first memorization. They go again and memorized with the other qira'at. So sometimes the word tajweed, they refer to qira'at, means different styles of reading the Quran. Wallahu alam. Um, Ahmad also, we said lucky now. They, as we said, the second rise, they start getting the start getting brighter. He heard Sahih al-Bukhari again, now in full, this time in full. Earlier when he was young, 12 years old, he heard it, some of it or most of it. He studied language in more depth, in a lot of details. At this age, Ahmad ibn Ali, he became one of the people. He started himself creating poems and making share and talking in a very high standard way of language. So he studied in details the language, because of all of this goes back into the new foster father and a new family that he was lucky to live with them, and good a father who wrote the name of this person to look after him. He continued studying traditionally until, traditionally means here in the same, the traditional way that the people at the time they're studying, until the year 796. Now you can guess the age of this person. At the time, now we have another situation of Ahmad. His situation started rising up and up and up, getting even better. Now remember, there are a number of hits that he had them early in his life. There will be more hits later on. But he now, he's rising up and up and up. He said in one of his books that he wrote them, and this statement in Arabic written in front of you, he said it. I wrote the words exactly as written by him. I will read them and give you the explanation of that in English. He said, now رفع الحجاب وفتح الباب وأقبل العزم المصمم على التحصيل ووفق للهداية إلى سواء السبيل. I tried to explain this in English, and he meant saying here, he said, the veil has been lifted, the hijab. Now everything is off. It's been lifted, means that the way is in front of me. I can focus more and I establish myself. I am now on the track. I'm getting better and better. The door is open, the door of ilm, the door of tawfiq, the door of seeing a life from a different angle, from a better way. It's open now for him, and the determination is here. So he's very excited. He's very has got that eagerness inside his heart. And this is Mrs. Mash's, as I said earlier, as I chose to ask earlier in his studies, it was traditionally, that is the guidance of the mom and dad, or the new guardian, the third guardian. Now this is from himself. This is his decision. Now life is changes because his own decision now starting doing it. And then he said, pray, I will be guided to the correct way. As he said in Arabic, ila sawa is sabil. So just imagine a teenager before getting into passing 19, 17, 18, a person says that. Now look to this and see your son or your daughter, if they're going to say that, if father and mother are not there. It's not easy. But this is comes from a tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when a person falls down, he will be hit from this calamity and that test and that test. Do not die. Do not give up. Carry on. Life is there. As long as you're alive, as long as you have soul inside you, as long as you still breathe, then you still, there are a lot to do there. There are a lot. Life in front of you, you can do a lot, inshallah ta'ala. So here, the rising up and up, I said here, he became attached to his Sheikh al-Iraqi. He found a Sheikh in Egypt, in Cairo, and this Sheikh is known as Zainuddin al-Iraqi. He's saying al-Iraqi, that's a very title for him. And Ahmad, he liked this Sheikh and he became very attached to him. like a shadow. Wherever he goes, he's with him. For how long? For 10 years. He remained with him for 10 years. Imagine 10 years, 12 months, 10 years, he's attached to his sheikh. Uh, Remember the statement, he said it earlier. Now the doors are open for him and he's looking to life in a different way. Ahmad traveled after getting 10 years spending with his sheikh. After that, he started traveling to different towns, to different cities, to different countries. Call them countries because nowadays we know them countries, but at that time they are not really split to countries. He started traveling and he went to the closest towns and cities in Egypt. He started in there and then he started going out and he went. It was mentioned by some of his students, he went to up to more than 50 towns and cities. He went to more than 50 towns, and some of these towns are well known and big, like Baghdad, like Basra, like Mecca, like Medina, like some towns are very, very well known at that time. Then our celebrity or our person that we're studying about him, he became a well-known celebrity in his city. Time goes, and this is why I said here is a the golden time, the golden state for him started now. So he became a well-known celebrity in his city, Cairo. Okay. Now, whenever you go up, remember there will be tests. There will be calamities. Don't think that you live without tests. أحسب الناس أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. So this is what Allah said. Don't think that you're going to be a believer and you're going to be a person and living and believing in Allah without tests. You will be tested and tested and tested. But remember, إنما العسر يسر. So whenever there's a usr, there will be yusr. Whenever there's a difficulty, there will be ease after that. Just you need to link yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There will be an opening there. There will be a test, there will be an ease after that. So now it's a big hit. This hit, it started, I really don't know how to put it, because if I put it in different timings in this journey of his life, it might take us long. So I decided to leave it here. So the plague, this disease, the very well-known disease at the time and known disease to us as well, this disease started affecting everywhere. Now, in Islamic history, if you get any Islamic history book, the traditional ones, some of them written by our scholar, the one I'm talking about him now, and some of them written by people before him, people after him, you will find Egypt was one of the highly affected places with the plague. So Egypt was very, very well-known country or district, and particular Cairo and Alexandria, Iskandaria, as we say in Arabic. It was they were amongst the very well-known towns affected through the history by this plague. It came before and after the birth of Ahmad. When his parents they were living and they got married, already before the birth of Ahmad, the plague was attacking the people of Cairo and in Sham as well and in Hijaz. So his people, his mother and father, they survived from that in Egypt. They got married, as we said earlier, and they had the baby Ahmed and his sister as well. So I counted in studying in some the history books that I got these stories and this information from. I counted, it might be more, I counted 9 times in the history during the life of Ibn Hajar, Egypt or his town, his own town, it was affected with it, the Cairo. The first plague was in the year 781, when without noticing, I mentioned here the name of this person. So now I expose my secret. Okay, I just noticed now I mentioned the name of our scholar who I hid his name earlier. I would like you to know his name later. However, some of you maybe don't know the Ibn Hajar. By going through some of these information, I think you're going to appreciate this person. person or the knowledge of this person by the end of this, inshallah, talk. So yes, is Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hajar. The first plague was in the 781 when Ibn Hajar was already a young boy. He was 8 years old, and goes until the year of 849, a few years before he died. He died in 700 and sorry 850 52. So I counted here the years. In year 781, year 791, this is all after Hijrah. 800, that's now the new century. 813. So you can see is 10 years, and we have a number of years, and then comes again. 819, 821, 822, 833, 10 years later, 841, 849, 853. This is just after he passed away, because he passed away, he died 852. So this is what I want to mention. As soon as he died, also another strike from the plague in the city of Cairo. All of this I'm just mentioning here in his own town. Imagine in your town that you live in London, brothers and sisters, that way we live now. I came to this country in 1997, and since, I have to say, the only dangerous or the only serious maybe disease or thing that affected life or affected the town, the city of London, is this time now. And I'm not sure the people who've been living here all their lives before and how many times. I'm sure they are in the history, but we might live all our life, and we might be tested with a disease or with a problem only once or twice. And imagine a life of Ibn Hajar, the life of Ahmad ibn Ali, and nine times in his own town, it will be disruption, and there will be a problem, there will be issues here and there. People are affected, people are carrying the disease. How are you going to move out? How are you going to go here and there? How is you to live? How are you going to go to shops? How to go to the masjid? How are you going to go to the circle? How is you going to do work? And all of that issues that I'm sure that Ahmad ibn Ali and the people that were affected with it and affected them highly. There are a lot of information mentioned in the life of the people in during that time. I can't go through all of that. So I would like to share with you something that happened during some of these years. So I selected 3 statements that mentioned by himself, Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Now I have to say his name because already exposed. So he said, Ahmad ibn Ali himself said, this statement was mentioned in his book. He said, the plague continued, and the products were, means that the year before that already there was a plague, and it continued even for this year, because he's writing the history based on years. So he's talking about now the year 809, as you can see on the title, in the year 819, and this is in Cairo, Egypt, and other places. He said the plague continued, so from the year before that, 818, and products were extremely expensive. This is what we have nowadays. I did mention to my students, I went into, as soon as the government made the lockdown, I went to do my local shop, a Muslim person. The normal chicken was £4, £4.50 sometimes. HMC now became £10, and things becomes very, very expensive. Egg used to be £4, now £10. So it is, things gets very, very expensive, life gets difficult, and that's what happened during that time as well. This was in Cairo and Tripoli, not Libya. Tripoli is Tripoli, the East Tripoli, which is in Lebanon. It was said that 10,000, look to the number now, you might get shocked with numbers. Already we're shocked with the numbers that we see them in our news every night and every day. Now he said, it was said that 10,000 people died in just the city of Tripoli alone. and that is a famous city in Lebanon. They call it Tripoli the East. There's Tripoli the West and Tripoli the East. The plague even spread in Asfahan, and that is in Iran, one of the important and famous city in Iran. And he said even went there and spread there, means spread everywhere. And a few people remained in Asfahan, means people are dying, thousands and thousands of people are dying. And he said, and that's, I'm quoting what he exactly said with his words, a few remain. He said in 1 month, and now he described East, Middle East, and now he's going to describe the western part of the Muslim country. He said in 1 month, 36,000 people died in Fas. Fas, that's in Morocco. He said just in there, the people counted 36,000. You might say they are exaggerating the numbers in here. Possibly, okay, from 36,000, you might reduce the number to 3,000, but still big number. Okay, the cities, the towns, he said, al-Buldan, were almost empty. This is a very, very strong attack from that disease, and a very, very strong test to the people who lived at the time in the century, in the 9th century, and in the year 819. Okay, another statement said by him, I'm sharing with you that to show you when he described all the 9 times of having the plague during his life. He said this is in the year 833, so a number of years after that. He said a group of, this is in Cairo, now a group of 40 people got a boat because they are on the River Nile, and that is in Egypt. About the River Nile, they used a lot, and they intended, these 40 people in the boat, they intended to get to As-Sa'id. For those who knows Egypt, or if we have brothers here listening to our sisters who are from Egypt, you know the distance between from Cairo to As-Sa'id. As-Sa'id is a big area. The first closest area to As-Sa'id, as far as I know, Bani South, I think, it is about 3 hours to get there, maybe possibly 2.5 hours. So they intend to go to As-Sa'id. However, so when they got to Al-Maymun, and that is a town just before getting to As-Sa'id, a town in Egypt, for those who are living in Egypt, and this is town is known by the River Nile, all of them died before they get into that. And he's talking about people who are affected with this disease. 40 people at the same time, all of them died. And he said also in the same year, 833, there were 18 fishermen. He's giving us stories. I'm just joining with your stories. Like nowadays, we're having stories that are reported. We did mention earlier our brother Dr. Abdullah Bacha, his father passed away. We did mention our brother Khalid Siddiqi's mother-in-law. So these things that you get to mention them later. She came all the way from America to visit her sister, her daughter, our sister Shamsa, all the way, imagine, from America, and then comes here to visit her own family, and then died in here. So these are stories you get to report them later on, and people after many years they get to report our stories. But just the different here, a story mentioned by a great Imam in Islam. He said 18 fishermen who got together in one place. They got together in one place, fishing maybe. In one day, 14, and this is why it shows that you should not get together, and that's why it shows the social distance. You should be careful with that, and this is something that we're going to highlight later. In one day, 14 of them died. From the 18, 14 of them died. So the four who left, they were the 4 that left prepared their funeral. They want to take them to the grave and prepare their funeral. So the 4, I said here, yeah, then the 4 that were left prepared their funeral of the 14. Then 3 of them from the 4, 3 of them died when they died, and then so really now from 18, 14, and then 3, and then when the last one got 1 left from the 4, when the last one got into the graveyard to bury the 17 people, himself, he died too. And this is some of the stories that narrate. There's so many stories, and there's some of them I have to say, if you read them as if you are reading something horror, reading something very scary in there. And that shows to you how the test, how that the hit that Ibn Hajar was talking about it, and the difficulty that he faced, the big calamity that he faced in during his life, but that it did not stop him, it did not affect him, did not affect his will inside, or his determination, did not affect his link with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, did not affect his ibadah, his tawheed, his iman, his remembering of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not hit him. It continued, and he knows that in life he's still breathing, he still have a soul inside him. Then let me carry on. Okay, the fourth rise of Ibn Hajar, with all that difficulties, Ibn Hajar Ahmad ibn Ali, he decided, imagine during this time, we have some of our close and beloved friends, when even during the lockdown, some of our families, maybe some of you are listening to us, Alhamdulillah, they managed to complete the marriages of their daughters or their sons or their beloved ones, and that is really a great thing to do. So what we have in here, we have our Imam, the Ahmad ibn Ali. He completed half of his faith, and that is getting married. He got married at the age of 25. When he was 25 years old, in the month of Shaban, the same month that he was born in, he's the same month that he got married in, and it is our month now, which is the 12th of Shaban, and that's why we are sharing the story of this great Imam. I said a coincidence, that's why we are 12 of Shaban, and he was born the 12th of Shaban. In the year 798, and of course he is 25 years old, Ahmad ibn Ali got married to a lady with the name of Uns. Her name is Uns Khatun. She was from okay, this was the marriage was upon the recommendation of his second guardian, as we said earlier, Shamsuddin Muhammad ibn al-Qattan, the scholar. As we said, he's a scholar, and he was his main sheikh and his main person who opened the doors in front of him, and he opened life in front of him, and he benefited him a lot. The lady Uns Khatun, she was also from well-off family, and she was from a well-known family. Her mother was well-known in Cairo, and her family also all well-known people at the time. Um, However, the the life, it doesn't go all the time, as we said, as you wish. And Ibn Hajar got hit now the seventh time. The seventh time, that's, I'm just trying to reduce the numbers, really more than seven. Uh, the death of his second mother. I called second mother here because I'm referring to a different person. Ahmad ibn Ali considered his older sister that I mentioned earlier as his second mother. He mentioned her, and when he mentioned her, he said, she was for me, ummi ba'da ummi. He said, my mother after my first mother. Uh, Her name was Sittur Rakb. Sittur Rakb, that's her name. Sittur Rakb bint Ali, as you know, ibn Ali, ibn Ahmad, ibn Muhammad, ibn Hajar. Okay, and she died in Jumada al-Akhirah, and in the year 798. She was 3 years older than Ahmad ibn Ali, and she looked after him for a period of time. Although really 3 years old, how much you get to look after your own brother? It's not that big age difference between them. But she managed to do her duty, and he appreciated that. And it was a big hit for him that he lost his sister, the one, at least the only family member that left for him at the time. He lost her at this age, when he is quite older, but he lost her. The eighth here, another hit, another calamity against Ahmad ibn Muhammad, his wife, the wife that he was happy to marry to, the wife that was recommended by his own sheikh, the wife that he loved her so much. Unfortunately for him, I'm saying, fortunately for him, his wife gave birth to girls only. So let me go through some information here. Uns gave birth. I know that some sisters here listening to us and some families, in the culture of a lot of people and the culture of, I think, the Arab, Pakistanis, everyone, people, we're not here going in Jahiliyyah way. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, Alhamdulillah, that is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, in general, people, they love to have sons because the son will carry the name, the son will continue the name of the family, but the girl, she will get married to somebody else and she will not carry name, she carry on the name of the family. But we know some of the families, some of the Muslims, some of the amongst us and before us and after us as well, I'm sure that you've noticed that girls sometimes are better than boys, and the beneficial of the girl were far better than the boy that they had. But I'm just quoting the situation of this imam, and for him it was a hit, for him it was a calamity. Ons gave birth many times, a number of times, as Imam Sakhawi said. However, whenever she gave birth to a baby boy, that baby boy dies. And whenever this lady, the Uns, she gave birth to a baby girl, she would live that baby girl. And it was said one time she gave birth to a baby boy, and then he dies, and then after that, the second pregnancy, it will be a girl, and goes like that. That's how it was described in the books that they talked about his wives in the history. Ahmad ibn Ali had 5 girls from Uns Khatun, and 5 girls. So that was for him is quite, as we said earlier, is a hit, and he wanted to have a boy. The hit after that, the Ahmad ibn Ali, this is another hit, but in a way he made something. He thought that is going to be rising himself or making himself in a better situation after he was tested, after he was having this calamity, but then he found himself in a difficulty. So let me share with you this. His own wife, and that Uns, that she found about his secret marriage. He got married again, another wife, but he he kept that all of that secret. So I said here, Ahmad ibn Ali was the same as many other husbands or males, let me call it, fathers, who wanted to have a son, at least one son. So in the year 817, Ahmad ibn Ali got married to a lady with the name uh, of Khas Turk. That's her name, Khas Turk. Now, this lady had a story, and that story, I'm sure any anyone, the action of Ahmad ibn Ali, he did it because he was eager, he was very desperate, he wants to have a baby boy. So what he did, this Khas Turk, she was, let me tell you this story because I didn't write it in here. Khas Turk, she was a female slave for his own wife, Uns Khatun. You know the wife that we mentioned earlier? This Khas Turk, she was a slave for her. And one day, Ahmad ibn Ali, she said, oh, he admired her, he liked her. He said, why don't marry her? And he said, look, if I marry another lady, free lady, I'm going to upset my wife. And for the ladies in the past, to marry a free lady, you're upsetting her. But to get a slave, then that is less level. At the time, as you know, the slavery, it was allowed and was still exist at the time. Um, so he made a trick, and Ahmad ibn Ali said to his wife, I don't want to see this lady anymore in the house. So can you do something with her? And she said, what shall I do? And he said to her, for example, sell her in the market, just give her to somebody else. And he already planned it with one of his friends, one of her other scholars, shuyukh, and he said to him, when this will be coming to the market and will be sold, and buy her on behalf of me, and this is called al-bay' and shira bil wakala. So on behalf of Ahmad ibn Hajar, buy it from me. So he told him, he gave him a sign when his wife will be sending this lady to the market, and his friend, he bought her. And then Ahmad ibn Ali, he took her because that's his own slave, his own place now, slave. He gave her the freedom, and he let her to complete her iddah, her period, until she becomes clean. And then he got married to her, but all of this secretly, all of this in another house or a room or place, other place in Cairo, in there. He lived with her until he got this lady, Khas Turk. She gave birth to a baby boy in the year 815. Imagine, really quick after his marriage, he um, she gave birth. After he got married to her, he got a baby after that. So the wife. Let me finish the story. Yeah, before that, the wife now, the Husn, uh, Husn Khatun, she one day when Ahmad ibn Hajar or Ahmad ibn Ali had got, Allah blessed him with this baby boy, he made a aqiqah in his own house, and the wife was surprised. Why you bring with us barbecue and making a meat and making all of that aqiqah and all of that? So not just to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then a time went, then someone went and told secretly the Anas Khatun that, look, your husband had or he's married to another wife and already had a baby boy. So she went this ons to his own house, the other house, and she found Khas Turk there, and she remembered that's her own slave. She brought her with the baby to her own home. And then when Ahmad ibn Ali came back to the house, she said, what did you do? And he said, I didn't do anything. And see, that's why I'm saying now, all of this, Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar, he thought that he's making something good for himself and he's getting out of his own calamity, own problem. But then this situation hit him and made him in a bad situation. So then she found out her and her mom, Husn, the Uns Khatun, the wife of Ibn Hajar, and her mom, and Ibn Hajar highly respected them. He loves his wife, and he loved his wife, and highly respected her mom, his mother-in-law. And they went to his own house, the other one. They brought the lady, the second wife, the one she used to be slave, and her baby, and they hid them in his house. And when he came, they said to him, what did you do? I didn't do anything. He didn't, as Sakhawi, his students, he said, he did not lie and he did not say the truth. So he stayed in between. And then she allowed them to come out, and he regret and he apologized, and he told her that, look, I want a son, and I want a son, and that the situation or your situation, as you experience and you've seen, all the baby boys that we get them, they die. And so it was a very bad for him, and he was hit, and his relation with his wife was not good since. Okay. uh, the following hit for Ibn Hajar, the death of his. Now he's got daughters. We said earlier 5 daughters. Now this is another big hit for an imam, for a person who's having a hit after a hit and a hit after a hit, even with his own wife. Now his just to give you the short story of all of this, all the daughters died, all of them. Some of them with the plague that we talked about earlier, some of them with different reasons of death. But he saw them and he experienced the loss of beloved ones in his home. While he's with them, they're one after one goes. So here we have the first daughter. Her name was Zain Khatun, and she was born in 802. Um, all of the daughters the Imam Ahmad ibn Ali, he took care of them and he educated them as much as he could at that time. And she died when she was 30 years old in the year 833, as it was recorded by the father himself, and it was due to the plague. So imagine with this disease, brothers, sisters, alhamdulillah, you're in a safety, you are in your home, and maybe some of us, as we mentioned earlier, are affected with some of this the disease. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the cureness, give the health and the shifa to everyone of the Muslims in this community, inshallah. And just imagine someone, his daughter goes in front of him and with the plague, and why she was pregnant even. And that is a hit for Imam Ahmad ibn Hajar. Second wife after that dies. Her name was Farha, with a tamarbuta at the end. She was born in 804. And Ahmad, again, as was mentioned, that he said, I looked after her. Brought her to my classes. I made shuyukh to give her ijazah. So he tried to educate them as well. She died when she was 24. Really a very, very important age. In 20s, in 30s, as the previous one, a very, as we say, golden age and very young age. And she died in the year 828. It didn't mention in the books of history that because of the plague, but she died. He lost her. The death of the third daughter. Her name was Ghalia, and she died in, sure, she was born the year 807, and she died. You can see the birth of the girls, 2 years, 3 years between each other. So means that that year, what is in between the girl and the girl, that's another boy who died, as we said earlier, because his wife was having pregnancy nearly every year or every second year. She died when she was 12 years old, very young, in the year 819. And the year 819 is well known of the plague, affected the whole city of Cairo at the time. So our scholar was very badly affected with it. His own family died because of that. The fourth daughter, her name is Rabi'a, and she was born in the year 811. And also he educated her and he looked after her. She died when she was 12 years old as well. um, we have the fifth daughter, the last one from his own wife. Her name is Fatima, and that's the last one. And she was born in 817. And when she died, she was 2 years old, very young. So really, a life when you're trying to do your own work, a life when trying to do your own life outside, and to carry on with your eagerness, with your emotion, with your ambitions, with your goals, and you'll find your family one after one is dying, one after one is dying, and having problems here and there. Okay. Um, so in the same year, two of his daughters died in 819. Um, I said here, the another hit. In general, this hit came through all his life. I made it here as number 15, but through all his life, we have this. The fear that regardless, even if he was a scholar, everyone will have the fear. Everyone, we are human beings, and we have the fear of something not known to us, the fear of the ghaib, unknown to us, tomorrow, after 1 week, after 1 month. And that's why, if we don't have the fear, why you go and work and you need to get a salary, why you're studying, you need to get a good job, you need to get a house, you need to have clothes, you need to have food, all of that because of the fear of what is going to happen later on if I don't work. I'm not going to have money, so I'm going to eat. I'm not going to have money, so I'm going to have a house. I'm not going to have money, so I'm going to pay my bills. All of that. That is really in general fear. And you get the news here and there, the news, the disease spread in London, the disease spread in Italy, the disease spread in here and there. So all of that, a similar situation happened to them at the time. The building up, having news comes from here, news comes from there, and build up that scenario or that particular fear in the mind of everyone. Ahmad ibn Ali and everyone in the community receives or received at the time the news that comes from everywhere, from Sham, from Al-Hijaz, from other part of North Africa, from even the far east in Asbahan in Iran and Khurasan area as well. Unfortunately, the news was not great. The news all the time during that century, the century that, and that's why we chose this Imam, is not because he was born 12 of Shaban, which is today. It's also because his century, the time that he lived in, we can use some other person as well as a scholar, but he, because he's a great, he stood up after all these hits, and whenever he hits, he will get up again and he will continue with the life, and that is really the purpose of choosing him. And also, this century is full of the news everywhere, is calamities, is disease and problems. We have the Mughal, the Tatar, Timur Lank from the other side coming to attack them, and the Christians from the other side, from the north, coming to attack them, and inside their own cities they're having the diseases spreading here and there. So the plagues is everywhere, in Halab, Aleppo, and Damascus, in Basra, in North Africa, in Mecca, everywhere. Even Khurasan, which is far away, wherever the news comes, Al-Barid comes, as they say, then they're giving them the bad news. And that is really hit. Makes you really, it's disturbing, isn't it? Whether you're going to continue having a project, to continue this project. Shall I do it? Shall not? Shall I do it? Shall not? We're having classes. Shall we stop our classes? Or we can't continue the classes? Oh, Alhamdulillah, we have Zoom. We started Zoom. So all of that disruption. So then that because of the news that you hear it, you don't know whether it's going to stop, is going to be better in 1 week, is not, and that is the fear, and that is made the life and not unclear to them, and it's hit. However, our Imam continue rising. I said during his life, during all that hits that we have them, he got and he managed to reach top level, top careers in his life. And while even during this 10 or 9 different the diseases that hitting his own city 9 times during his own life, about 79 years, 70 over 70 years of his life, and he managed to get high level. Ahmad ibn Ali's dua that I mentioned at the beginning, when he made that, when he started the life, was accepted, and he managed to get the high rank, such as he got to the level to become one of the people who gives al-imla, and he started that in the year 808. Al-imla, not anyone can give and can be a mumli. Al-imla, when you have a lot of knowledge, a lot great, massive, huge knowledge, when you sit in the masjid and you having a permission from the authority, because there used to be an authority at the time there, from the Khalifa and from the Sultan, because it was a Mamluki time, and he was giving that, and you have a lot of knowledge to be giving imla. Al-imla, you're giving from language or some information. You're going to hadith, different information. You're going to fiqh, different information. You're going to history, different information. So you need to be an encyclopedia to give all of that. He got to that level. Teaching in the top masajid in Cairo, in al-Azhar, in the masjid of Ibn Tulun, Ahmad ibn Tulun, in the masjid of Amr ibn al-As, in the top masajid, he managed to teach in this masajid, Ahmad ibn Ali. Iftah, he became the mufti. In the House of Justice, they called Darul Adil, for 41 years. For 41 years, since 811 until he died, he was one of the top mufti. In fact, he was the judge of the Shafi'i community, because at the time there was Shafi'i community, Hanafi community, Hanbali community, Maliki community. He was a Qadi Qudat al-Shafi'iyya, and that's what it means. It comes here as the judgment. He got involved in the judgment system, and he became one of the top judges in the in the city, and whenever there's a calamity or something that needs a view of the madhahib, the sultan or the deputy of the sultan will be calling the people, and he was one of the people who was called all the time. As well as some other states that I didn't mention them, being the khatib of al-Azhar, the khatib of the Masjid Amr ibn al-As, or Ahmad ibn Tulun, or the imam of this masajid. These are, he got them earlier than these states. Okay, because he got all that, he got hit again, another hit. And any scholar, people, you get this in your life, and this is part of the tests and calamities you receive in your life. You might get this from your own family, you might get this from your own relatives, you might get this from people outside, and this is all the time we are facing and seeing that. And it's important to keep your adhkar, to important to keep yourself keeping the adhkar. And that is one of this, because you can't guarantee people, they're not going to have envy against you from outside. So you need to keep your adhkar all the time, keep connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ahmad ibn Ali faced a number of envies here from people that were from that's unfortunately, this is the situation. Seniors in his own community from Cairo, people who are top in that city, they treated Ahmad. He faced difficulty from them. They envy him. And I have three names are known in the history. The judge, al-Qadi, he's a Qadi, Alamuddin Saleh al-Bulqini. He tried to get him out of the judgment system because he was a qadi and he was one of the top people in the judgment system, and trying to get rid of him from the judgment system of the authority of the country at that time. And he made a lot of trouble. We can't go through all these stories. We have Waliuddin al-Safati. Also, he was one of the top people who are competing with him and made a lot of trouble against and in front of Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar. And the most famous one is here, Badruddin al-Aini. Badruddin al-Aini is one of the great, the other ones are Shafi'is, but this one, Badruddin al-Aini, he's a Hanafi. Since that time until nowadays, there are some Hanafi like Waliuddin al-Dahlawi and some other Hanafis. They are until now, they are having a lit up some hate towards the Imam Ahmad ibn Hajar, because he was a very top Shafi'i. And you know the history between Shafi'i and Hanafis. And Imam Ahmad ibn Hajar, in his books, as we're going to show you later, he usually defeats and usually refutes and answers back and criticizes the Hanafi view. During his time, he was someone who's equal to his level, like Badruddin al-Aini. He wrote an explanation of Fath al-Bari, the Sahih al-Bukhari. Same thing, Badruddin al-Aini did the same thing. Inshallah, we will tell his story later on. But there were scholars, and you know, scholars, this is all in a nafs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from these sicknesses. Now, we came close to the end. Do you know, now this question meant to be earlier, but I already exposed my Imam, and that Imam is Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar. This person, brothers and sisters who are with us, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you staying until this time. I'm not sure if I passed an hour or not. He authored a great number of books. I'm going to show you some of these books that when I was preparing these books earlier, my wife said that if you're going to get the books that he wrote them, because start getting the first book, second book, third book, she said you're going to get the whole books out, because he authored so many books. From the camera now, you can see here, look at this in front of you, the books here. So you have here, this is 12 volume, is Fath al-Bari, and Fath al-Bari is explanation, a commentary for Sahih al-Bukhari. Imagine, dear brothers and sisters, these books here, the 12 book, he spent 25 years, 25 years writing these books. Just one book to explain Sahih al-Bukhari from volume 1 to volume 12 or 13. He spent from year 817 up to the year 842. 25. Some of you may be listening there that are they age 25 years old. And this book here, look, and this Ithaful Mahara from volume 1 goes to volume 14. There are more than this as well. We have all of this here, and Nukat, here Muwafaqa, and here Matalib, and here, and 5 volumes, 2 volumes, 2 volumes, 4 volumes, 2 volumes. We have so many books, and we have others as well, which I can't show all of them for now. And if we're going to show all of this, will be really so the life that he went through to, the tests that he received. I mentioned here how many? 16 tests. That's really, I have to drop some of them because when I was revising my slides in here, I found out that might be it goes to 3 hours, 2.5 hours, which is a lot. So I reduced a lot of these tests, and a life full of difficulties, full of calamities, full of tests, but the person never gave up. The person here, Ahmad ibn Ali, continued since his birth, a child, when a mother and father passed away. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the beginning, of course, it is the hikmah of the father that he wrote in his will, and that's something that you can do. And also is tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he went into a family that looked after him and made the life open in front of him, and possibly that father also left some money for him to be looked after and to be raised by the others. Okay, so I hope this, I think, made a little bit of sense to us. I'm going to conclude my presentation with going through some of 3 points. I'm not going to make it long. 3 points. If we remember them, then it should be enough, inshallah. If we want to be really to rise through the difficulty or during the difficulty, and we never give up and we continue, remember that you need to have first, you need to consider the asbab, proper measures. So you need to consider the asbab. You cannot live without following, without considering these the measures. So things that you need to consider them in life, whether it's a disease or there is no disease. So you need all the time to consider the asbab, as we say in Arabic. So you need to not to rely on them, but you need to consider them, you need to use them, and you need to be aware of them. So this is a very important for your life, for the goals, and to reach what you want to reach in life, and to continue your life. You need to consider them. But however, do not be a very, very extreme in this. So you should not believe in them in a way that you start exaggerating and relying on them. There are asbab, there are reasons for you in this life to consider them and continue. You remember that you have a creator. The creator is seeing you there. The creator knows what is good for you, and carry on to please him. And you need to consider and to have this asbab. Second point, I'm not going to make it long, as I said. Second point in general here, while you are considering the asbab, you need also to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not just by having tawbah. Tawbah is the main thing. Tawbah for the pious and righteous Muslim, the good Muslim, all the time you should make a tawbah. Tawbah has to be there. In the life of Ibn Hajar, what I dropped from there, they're saying during the life that he lived, during this all 70 or over 70 years, he died in 852, and he was born in 773, so about, I think, 70 something. During all this life, and whenever that he was, or the community was hit with the plagues, different times, different years, they used to do a lot of things. And one of the things they mentioned, Some of them that we disagree with it, and some we agree with that. So they used to, I'm not saying this you should do that, I'm just saying that that's what they did, and that's what we need to do as well. So what they did, they used to have a gathering, and in that gathering they used to make istighfar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They got together and they make istighfar. Ibn Hajar was one of the people who criticized that, and that was why al-Bulqini is starting also having problems with him, because he criticized him. They had also a gathering when they read Sahih al-Bukhari from first chapter, first hadith, إنما الأعمال بالنيات, until the end. And they said one of the people in his city or in the Cairo, he saw Rasulullah SAW in his dream, and he said, read Sahih Bukhari, this disease will go away. And they did. So when they read Sahih Bukhari, that plague went away. So, well, I mean, you can read Sahih Bukhari. Sahih Bukhari is all hadith of Rasulullah SAW, but do not say to the people outside, this is what is going to happen. So what it happened to people, to someone in A and B, by seeing that in the dream of Rasulullah, it might not happen to everyone, because we do not believe in dreams. Dreams cannot be a religion. Religion is qala Allah, qala Rasulullah, and the ijma' and the qiyas. However, you can read, but when you read the hadith of Rasulullah, you can make salah upon the Prophet ﷺ, and that is also good. And that's one of the things that you can make it every Friday, Thursday evening, make salah upon the Prophet ﷺ, and that is part of returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a salah upon the Prophet himself, Ibn Hajar, he authored a book called Badlul Ma'un fi Fadlul Ma'un. So by losing 5 daughters, by losing everything that he had in his life at the time, all his family, he went and he wrote a book about the fadl, the virtues of at-ta'un, because at-ta'un was main thing that affected his life. And so he mentioned there as-salah upon the Prophet ﷺ, istighfar, making dhikr, studying, generally repenting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of that is a reason, inshallah, to make you to continue and to rise up to continue. Remember, you have a creator. Remember that you are a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the one who created you, he will not forget you. Even if you take the full asbab, as we said in the first point, if he decides subhanahu wa ta'ala for you to die, even you are at home in the lockdown, you are at home with the social distance, you're not going out, you will die. But is for us to continue, inshallah, in this difficult time. Remember to follow the asbab, and remember that Allah is there. He is the one who should rely on him, and we don't rely on the asbab, and we return to him. Returning to him, including seeking the knowledge. While even in Skype, while you even this through what's called, not Skype, the Zoom, you should attend classes. And alhamdulillah, this facility that the INED, they made it, and continuing these talks every Sundays, and the Jum'ah talk as well. That's, I think, on maybe question and answer every Tuesdays. That is a really good system. And alhamdulillah, as everyone knows, SAIS are continuing with our classes in the evening every day, and we're having the classes on Zoom as well. So that's a really good thing to remember, and that's what Ibn Hajar did to relate that to our story earlier. The last point here I have is, remember, life continues. So al-hayatu mustamirra. So whether you die, whether you are sick, or someone is sick, someone died, a friend of ours, now look, from our community, we have 2 people died, or a relative of our community. I'm sure that you know more. I'm sure that you know others, but this is what I know. And maybe some people here and there that they are sick, and they are very sick. Some of them are there are a lot. And we had the first Muslims are dying in the amongst from the NHS doctors, but life is there, life to continue. You can't stop life, because life is continue, so you can get married. People who are in difficulties with dispute in the family, they're still contacting us. We sort out their disputes, whether it's a divorce, whether a marriage problem, whether it's a car, whether it's inheritance, whether this and that. It will continue. Life has to continue, and you continue your life. And some of you are working from home, and as you are working from home, make your other matters are continuing as well. So don't let your children to be lazy. Don't let yourself to be lazy as well. So I've noticed with myself, I've noticed with the family, we have in terms of the adhkar in the morning, adhkar in the evening, we normally say them when I get out, but now we don't get out. So don't forget to say your adhkar in the morning, your adhkar in the evening. Life is still continue, but your system, your routine that used to have it before, then you should continue now as well. Whether it's a matter life, the dunya matters, whether these issues are related to the religion matters, everything should continue as normal. When I'm saying as normal, I'm not saying to you go out and break the rules and start mixing with the others, but do it in the way as you are following and considering the asbab. And this is what happened. And these three matters that considered by Ibn Hajar, Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, may Allah have mercy upon him and may Allah gather us with him yawm al-qiyamah. When he considered all these three matters, he achieved what he achieved. He achieved thousands and thousands and thousands of pages that he wrote, and he was Hafidhul Islam. He was the most Hafidh in Islam, and the scholars, they said even he's more Hafidh than Imam al-Dhahabi, who was in the century before him. This is the end of my talk, and I pray that I got and I managed to say what you expected before joining, at the time when you join the group and the talk. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this gathering and what you heard now from me, it will be in our mizan hasanat yawm al-qiyamah, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and will be a reason for us to enter the Jannah, inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end protect you, bless you, and keep you safe all the time. I was told, because of the time, I think if you have any questions, I forgot to say that earlier, you can send your questions in writing, and inshallah I will look into that. But now I think is possibly yes, is a lot, I think, more than the time that was expected. So inshallah, maybe the INAID will arrange for me another time to answer your questions, and possibly maybe somebody else to give you a lecture, inshallah, in the future. And now I would say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and jazakum Allah khair.